From Twitter to the Kardashians, the story of a self-published writer. How did a self-published writer from London catch the attention of a Kardashian? In 2019, Sully Breaks, aka Solomon, began writing about relationships and his personal experience as a married man on Twitter. One post went viral, sparking millions of impressions and conversations across the internet. But when publishers came knocking, the offers were lowball. No one wanted to take a chance on a writer from Twitter. So he built his own lane. He grew a newsletter to 3,000 subscribers. A six-figure publishing deal came, and then collapsed. Defeated, he nearly gave up on publishing. But instead of quitting, he doubled down, figuring out how to self-publish his book on his own terms. After countless failed attempts, he finally got the book off the ground and took to social media, hitting it hard. The reels blew up. Sales poured in from across the world. And rather than relying on Amazon, Solomon adopted a fashion model approach, dropping hardbacks in limited edition seasonal releases. Then, something unexpected happened. One of his viral readings caught the eye of Khloe Kardashian, and she shared it with her 308 million followers. Sully is planning to retire his current book when this stock is finalized, and is currently finalizing his next book, It's Not You, It's Me. A self-published writer, a book that almost never made it, a story that refused to be ignored. This is what happens when you bet on yourself.
Today, I want to talk to you guys about why I think everybody, all of you, should make some kind of art. Make something. And I'm going to share with you a story from my childhood, another story which is a bit personal story from a recent one, just an overall idea of why I think in this day and age it is the best opportunity to create and preserve art, and the reason why you need to do it right now. The reason why you need to stop procrastinating on it, and the reason why it matters not just to somebody else, but it will matter to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a minute of your time to tell you the story of my life.
March 31st, 2019 is a significant day for me because that's when the artist professionally known as Nipsey Hussle was shot dead in his hometown. He was one of my favorite artists. He's been inspiring to me for a long time. And the news of his death, although I never met the man, was extremely tragic to me because I feel like he pushed me through some very difficult times. That's what great art does, you know. It inspires you. But this morning, the other morning, as I was wrestling in the gym and with my 30 kg dumbbells, get them gains, I felt like Nipsey spoke to me. We live this marathon life because one day we gonna all die. Not a stranger to these hard nights, but when I look up, we see our sky. We see potential in the moment. We used to have to rent, now we own it. No hesitation to be on it. We get paid to spend these midnights in Paris like we Owen Wilson. What a feeling, living it cause you built it. Balling, spoiling, shot it, killed it. The rollie is a symbol that represents my This rollie is a symbol that represents my resilience. The marathon's my leverage. The negotiation was brilliant. For 4 minutes and 53 seconds, his words resonated with me like I was still a 21-year-old walking down Wood Green High Street, coming home from my dead-end job where I've been stacking shelves and stacking trainers, you see. So although Nipsey is gone physically, lyrically, he lives forever. Even though Nipsey is gone, art is immortal. Art lives forever. Art transcends us. And that is a reason to make art. Whether it's writing, painting, taking pictures, whatever, make something. Let me tell you a story. When I was about 8 years old, around 8, my dad, who goes by the name Ojo, which is like an abbreviation of Kojo, because he refuses to let his grandkids call him granddad, he made a movie. See, I don't say enough about my dad's exploits in my content, but he's really the fuel behind my creativity, you know. He's made movies, he's written a book. You can get it on Amazon, actually. I'll put the link in the description. And for as long as I've known, he was inventing stuff. He was the first person that kind of made me understand, like, the world is open as your canvas to create whatever you like. That's my pops, that's my dad, you know? So my dad made 2 films in his 30s. I wish I could find them, but I can't. One of them is Zebendu. The other one is Ghana Boys. Zebendu is like, I think back then it was old school slang for like cocaine or something. Ghana Boys, the name is in the title. So about 15 years ago, yeah, maybe 15 or maybe more, I found an old VHS of Zebendu, me and my cousins, probably longer. And we sat down and we watched it. And it was brilliantly awful, but brilliantly in a way where we laughed at the poor acting, you know, the unnecessarily over dramatic music. Like anyone who knows African films, they have dramatic music and then just the ridiculous plot points. But it was amazing because it touched me in a way that no other piece of media could, because I was seeing the world through my father's artistic lens. It was like a time capsule transporting me to see the world through his eyes. So I was fortunate enough, and I say fortunate, to meet 3 out of my 4 grandparents. If anyone's met 444, you're blessed. I mean, like, at a mature age, at an age where I could remember, you know, like, I was a kid, 8, 7. I met 3 out of 4 of my grandparents. What always strikes me about grandparents is we meet them as adults. We meet them as responsible, all-knowing adults. And I used to go through old photo albums with my grandma, rest her soul, and with my mum. And what I realized is we all saw the same pictures, but to both of them, they told different stories. They transported them into different worlds. And my mum would sit down with me and she'd take me through these stories, and I was seeing the world through her perspective. Just like my dad Ojo's films, the photos acted as a way to transport a message from one generation to another. And I often liken this to my wife, who never met any of her grandparents. Unfortunately, she never met any of her grandparents. So it's like all she has is the anecdotes that are told word of mouth from her parents. But that doesn't capture everything in the same way. And that's why I say you should make art even if nobody's watching. You should draw, you should write, keep a newsletter, blog, you know, I don't know, film yourself playing sports, learn to knit, because it's always a way to pass down a message to the next generation. The next generation may benefit from the message that you are creating. Sometimes I watch my old YouTube videos and I don't even recognize myself, you know, or I see faces in 720p that I haven't heard from years, and I pick up the phone and I'll call them and be like, yo, because that is what art does. It gives us a way to encapsulate, immortalize, but also to remember the people in our lives or appreciate them in other contexts. Time is dishonest. You know, like we romanticize the past and we adapt the future. You know, some things I won't be able to tell my kids, but hopefully they'll have these poems, these videos, these newsletters to go through. You know, and sometimes it will come back to bite me. My son says to me every day, I don't want to go to school that day. And I am dreading the day when he finds my video and he's old enough to articulate why I hate school but love education. You know, but at least he gets an honest account from the younger version of me. Art is honest, art is raw. I have a library filled with heartbreak, sorrow, joy, pain, that my boys will one day be able to go through when they're old enough or when they're bored enough. But that's me, and I'm capturing those moments, not for critical acclaim, but because it will matter at some point to someone else. I used to have a podcast, for those of you who may not have seen it, the 7 Figures podcast. Just for the record, even though it launched around 2020, I actually started in 2018. So I'm not saying I'm like a pioneer in this business podcast space, but I kind of am saying that at the same time. I remember inviting Sam Mensah onto that podcast. Sam was an aspiring multi-billionaire because he was just on the trajectory. He was an entrepreneur. He was everything I wanted the podcast to represent. He'd taken his family business and he turned it into $1 million business. while at the same time raising his family and being a representation of the community of North London, Tottenham, but also Ghanaians. Everything I wanted the podcast to mean to people like me or people around me. He came onto the podcast, we chopped it up, we laughed, we had fun, and we talked about our future aspirations. You can watch it, I'll link it in the description. A few months later, I noticed I was getting tagged in the podcast that me and Sam had created. I get numerous tags. So I was super excited. I was like, oh, what's going on? Only to start opening the conversations and the words RIP like plastered on each and every one of them. You know, Sam, I blinked. I didn't believe it at first. And then I got a WhatsApp from one of my cameramen and he was like, yo, Sam died. This experience changed me in a lot of ways that I won't go into, but I kind of became more present with the realities and life and death. It was overwhelming in many ways. In fact, like, I even regretted shooting the podcast because I was like, why does this have to be a tribute? I was so angry that it had to be a tribute to his life rather than just like, I don't know, like a stamp or something, you know, just another step for him to climb and go higher. Why did this have to be a tribute? And that really hurt me for a long time until one of my friends messaged me who watched the podcast and he was like, yo, at least his kids will be able to watch it when he's older. And I hope they do watch it and see the brilliance of their father. And I hope it inspires them and it preserves his memory in a way that, I don't even know. What I want to say is you'll never be the exact same age with the exact same thoughts, the exact same perspective. So why not capture them through art? Why not archive them and keep them? I was sitting in my whip the other day and I was frustrated about something I was trying to get done. You know, I can't remember what it was, something I was trying to get done. And at the time, I was going through my old catalogue because I'm preparing to do a show in London. June 14th, I need to see you lot buying tickets to that. That's going to be a great experience. I was listening to my old stuff. And through my frustration, I hear my own voice come through. My own voice, Suli, come through. And he was like,
if you hear this and you have a dream right now, I just want you to promise me that you're going to chase it. I want you to promise me that you chase it. Whether you just finish your last shift at work or your last lecture in school, I just want you to know that you'll chase that dream. And chase it till you can't run no more and your feet hurt, but I just want you to chase it. And if they say you can't attain it, tell them that I said you can. I don't give a shit, tell them Suli Break said so. Cause as long as I can make it, you can make it. I recorded this in a rundown flat in Wood Green, nothing but a dream. And I want you lot to know that as well. So as long as you got my back, I got your back. And let's chase this motherfucking dream and tell this world what we got. Welcome to the door.
And I had to laugh because I was getting a pep talk from my younger self, a more inspired version at that time. And that just put everything in perspective. I started to think about all the things I was dreaming about then that I now have. And imagine how much that would mean to that younger Suli there and then. And that really just shifted my entire mood of the day. And it's funny, the irony of my younger self giving me a pep talk, but that's the power of creating art. Make, man, keep making. I throw a lot of stuff online. People are like, that's rubbish, but there's always that one piece. Love Letter to an Angel. That video, that never got 1 million views, but it's always the piece that people come up to me and say, that's my favorite piece ever. Because it mattered to me, so it matters to someone else. Making art, especially on the internet, most of the time it feels like you're making it for no one. And most of the time you are. But all this stuff we make has the power to live forever. You never know who might stumble across your stuff. You know, I made a video 10 years ago and because of it, Will Smith called me to invite me to come and chill with him, you know. This is for me in my little small room coming up with these ideas. I've traveled across the globe. And I was just in Sri Lanka a few weeks ago. That video will be coming soon and people have been telling me my videos have inspired them for years. So yo, make, create. Don't create to be a content creator. Create to create a conversation for the future. create, because you have the tools to express yourself, and hopefully for profit, but if not, for purpose. If you like this video, please subscribe. Check out the book You Wish You Had Read Before Marriage, and you can pre-order my new book as well.